Hey ghosts, I'm coming down from a mushroom trip and trying to get some better sleep. Aren't we all? In this episode, I'm exploring Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra, or yogic sleep as it's sometimes known, is a state of consciousness between sleeping and being awake that is sometimes induced by guided meditation. But probably to everyone's surprise, I wasn't trying to induce a state between waking and sleeping. I know, it's what I do. I was actually recommended this by a colleague because I was struggling to get good sleep. Is it because I'm constantly doing experiments that use sleep as a gateway? Or is it that the editing lifestyle with a good chair and back support and wholesome content is just so stressful? Whatever it was, I was directed to a YouTube channel that gives guided yoga nidra. So does it help you fall asleep? Or does it help you tap into another state of consciousness? I'm here to find out. First, let's take a look back at where this comes from. The Wikipedia for Yoga Nidra says that a state called Yoga Nidra is mentioned in the Upanishads and the Mahabharata, while the goddess named Yoga Nidra appears in the Devi Mahatmya. This topic is going to push my articulation skills to the limit. Essentially, early mentions of Yoga Nidra concentrate on a deep state of meditativeness, not necessarily anything to do with sleep. This is the real reason why I can't sleep. It's editing Ash here, and I just realised that when Tiger jumped into that shot, I went out of focus, and I stay out of focus for a little while. I do come back in because I stop recording and I start recording again, but basically for the next few minutes, my face is going to be out of focus, I know, but it takes me so long to make these videos that I don't want to record it again. So sorry, but it's fine. It'll get fixed. The modern version of Yoga Nidra derives from 19th and 20th century proprioceptive relaxation. It doesn't stop, as described by practitioners such as Annie Payson-Call and Edmund Jacobson. The modern form of the technique, pioneered by Dennis Boys in 1973, made widely known by Satyananda Saraswati in 1976, and then by Swami Rama, Richard Miller, and others, has spread worldwide. Oh my god. Listen, they all got their shout out. I tried. Yoga Nidra is applied by the US Army to help soldiers recover from post-traumatic stress disorder, although there is part of this article that says that there is no scientific evidence. I'm trying too much, am I? There is no scientific evidence to suggest that it relieves stress. But let me live in the delusion for a moment, because I get it. In the last few years, I have realised how good it is to have wind-down routines, to stop and do something that just helps you calm down. Whether there's scientific evidence or not, I think if you find something that helps you, that's fine. So in the late 19th century and early 20th century, there started to be places where you could find advice on Yoga Nidra that would advise you on how best to get the experience. Talk you through the techniques to make the magic happen. In Power Through Repose, and just because I've never heard the word repose before, I'm going to look that up. State of rest, sleep, or tranquility. People don't use words like that anymore. Repose. In Power Through Repose, Annie Payson-Call writes, "Once on the floor, give way to it as far as possible." The floor? Annie. We can do better than the floor. For the purposes of my experimentation, I'm going to use my bed. Every day you will become more sensitive to tension, and every day you will be better able to drop it. That sounds wonderful. While you are flat on your back, if you can find someone to prove your relaxation, so much the better. I'm intrigued by what this could mean. Let your friend lift an arm, bending it at the different joints, and then carefully lay it down. See if you can give its weight entirely to the other person so that it seems to be no part of you, but as separate as if it were 3 bags of sand fastened loosely at the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. It will then be full of life without tension. That does sound lovely. It's like when you get a massage and they tell you to relax and they're like moving your body about and they like don't want you to help them. It's just so relaxing. Repose, I suppose. In 1973, Dennis Boys published the first known usage of Yoga Nidra in a modern sense. In his book, Boys makes use of relaxation techniques, including the direction of attention to each part of the body. That is so similar to the gateway process and quite a lot of meditation practices. Direct your attention to your forehead, feel the forehead well. Go down a little to the right eye. Guide your attention into the eye. Experience the spheroidal shape of the eyeball. Try to feel it well, softly, directly, without using thought or a mental image. Well, experience the spheroidal shape of the eyeball is a sentence I never thought that I would hear. It makes me think of that scene in Kill Bill where Uma Thurman's character steps on an eye and it like squishes between her toes. That's not relaxing. That's not repose. Yoga Nidra in this modern sense is a state in which the body is completely relaxed and the practitioner becomes systematically and increasingly aware of the inner world by following a set of verbal instructions. The state of consciousness is different from meditation, in which concentration on a single focus is required. In Yoga Nidra, the practitioner remains in a state of light withdrawal of the 5 senses, with 4 senses internalized, and only hearing still connects to any instructions given. If you say so, but it does sound really like the gateway experience and a lot of meditation practices that I've heard of. At this point, I want to point out that almost any practice like this does come with controversy, and I don't want to dwell on it, but I feel like it's apt to point out. I think it's better to be informed, and it turns out that there's a history within Yoga Nidra and other meditation practices where someone will pose as an authoritative figure in order to teach others, but then take advantage of those other people in many different ways. There are all sorts of things out there in order to prevent this from happening. But since we are just doing this on our own at home, let's dive in. Are you staying or are you going, tags? Are you being part of Yoga Nidra or not? I know it's a little bit dark, but I am going to give this a go and film the process. It's 3 p.m. and hopefully I'll be able to do something a little more interesting than fall asleep. Make a decision, boy. Oh no, whatever this is, it's not helpful. Just can't do anything by myself. Okay, here we go.
Namaste. My name is Ali, and welcome to your Yoga Nidra practice.
So my honest first experiences when I went to bed, because the floor, and also because I wanted to sleep better, what I would do is I would lie as instructed, and I know that people are going to have an issue with this, but basically I would put the video on my phone and I would lie my phone on my chest and then I would lie back. Listen, it's 2024. What's a girl to do? So then I could hear the guided meditation very well, and usually it was when I was going to bed anyway, and it just sort of was the final step of a wind down. You know, I've brushed my teeth and I've got ready for bed and the lights are dim or off, and trying to stay away from screens and things like that. Although using my phone to do Yoga Nidra, I know. It's the modern world. Maybe I should just get a speaker and put it next to my bed, or maybe use my headphones. It's just that with the headphones in, it just feels like I'm not going to sleep with them in. Anyway, I need to work through this in another environment. But it was lovely. The meditations do talk you through focusing on different parts of the body and looking out for different sensations. I didn't get someone to test whether or not my body was limp, but I really committed to the no tension, don't move any of your body, just lay there completely still. Most times I tried it, I successfully fell asleep whilst listening to the meditation, and that was the goal. Now, what I did have to do was, once the recording stopped, it would trigger something in my mind where I was like, oh, that thing we were listening to is over now. And I'd wake up very briefly just to turn my phone off and set it to the side and then go back to sleep. And honestly, that worked really well. It's definitely a secret weapon on those nights where I maybe don't feel super tired, but I'm ready to go to bed. I know I have an early morning. I need to get a good night's sleep. But I began to wonder if, because I was ready to fully go to bed and my brain knew that the goal of this was to fall asleep, if I wasn't getting any of the experience of that between states of consciousness, simply because I was determined to fall asleep during it. And it's something that with these other meditative practices, with the gateway experience, has always been a risk. I'll try to do it at a time of day where I'm not sleepy, but just by the nature of the program, it makes me fall asleep. And so I thought, well, maybe I should try Yoga Nidra in a circumstance where I'm not immediately sleepy and see what happens then. So, despite Tiger's best efforts, this was a very interesting session. As I lay on the bed, I was listening closely to what the voiceover was telling me and really concentrating on not moving my body. And actually, very soon into the process, I felt a lifting sensation in my lower back. It was almost as if I was sitting up, but I was also lying down. And then later in the process, it felt as if my hand was lifting up, even though it was also still lying down. So it's really interesting because for years on this channel, I've been doing a lot of different guided meditations and getting different effects from them that haven't always been what their intention is. And I don't think I've ever had anything like that before. I don't think I've ever felt like I was lifting up out when I was actually still lying down. Ultimately, I did fall asleep during this session, and when it stopped, I did that thing again where I'm surprised and I wake up and I'm like, oh, and it's like 4 o'clock now. So yeah, just took a nap in the middle of the day. So this is super interesting because for a while I've been trying to achieve that out of body feeling, and this is the first time I think I've physically felt it. There's been a lot of times where I've incurred lucid dreaming and I've definitely had a different experience in my mind than I have in my body. But it was like having 2 experiences at once, one where I was lifting up and one where I was lying down. So this is something that I'm going to continue with, not just because it's been helping me fall asleep, but because that is a super interesting experience as well. This has been a huge surprise from Yoga Nidra, and I'm quite excited to be doing more. So there may be another video on this on the horizon, especially if I continue down the line of having that lifting feeling and seeing where that goes. Thanks so much for watching today. Your support means everything to me, and I promise I'm going to try and be consistent with my videos from now on. See you next time.